batches. So I'll have a 55-gallon batch, and then I'll break it up into 6-gallon carboys. That way, when I need to bottle something, I can just bottle 6 gallons while the rest of it just kind of bulk ages. So I've always got 6 gallons or like 16 gallon demijohns or whatever, just smaller batches that are really easy to knock out in a couple hours. So there's always a bunch of stuff that's kind of in the pipeline, and then I can pull as much as I need when I need it. And then just let it bulk age, that way it'll taste the same when it comes out.
Trying to get you. Can you turn your... Do you have the ability to turn your sound up, David? Because you're coming through real quiet.
I don't believe so.
Okay, well, I'll just see if I can crank you up on your... Go ahead, Haim.
David, how big is Hamish here, by the way? How are you?
Hey, Hamish, pretty good. How are you?
Yeah, good. How big is the pipeline that you referred to? What size batches do you do, and how many of these? What did you say? 65-gallon fermenters do you have?
I have 2 55 gallons. I've got 3 44 gallons. I have 3 33 gallons, and I can't even count how many 6 gallons, and then a couple of 16s. And then I have a 587 gallon.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
Wait.
You still there?
That's
no, you cut out there, Haim. What you said?
2,200 liters.
Yeah, it's quite a bit.
I think we're getting a little bit of delay here, and I apologize for that. I don't know where that's coming from.
Could be that I'm on the other side of the world and Skype's just being a little bit awkward, so I do apologise for that.
Yeah, but not your fault when Skype's being awkward, dude. They should like get their game ramped up in Australia.
They should just get their game ramped up in general.
Well, yeah.
Microsoft bought them. I don't think that's possible.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. Yeah. So you guys really are a excuse me, a cottage meadery then.
At the moment, yes.
Okay, cool.
I'm in a 675 square foot space. I've been looking for a new location for about a year now. I've had 2 of them that have been potential, and then they both fell through for one reason or another. And then now I've got a couple more that I'm looking at, but I'm trying to find the right space, and that's proving to be the challenge. So for now, I'm just kind of maintaining until I can find a bigger space that will actually afford me an actual tasting room, not just come sample what I've got bottled and pick up some bottles and head out the door. So I'd like people to actually come in and hang out and visit and make new friends, that kind of thing. So.
Nice. So I take it the plan is to are you going to have just a tasting room, or are you planning to have food trucks or anything like that?
Yes. I've got a big food truck following from kind of the Seattle area that a lot of the really big food trucks that have a few trucks in their fleet are super excited when I open to actually bring in and just set up shop for a few days. And then I've been in conversations with the really good food providers in town, because we've got a lot of really good food up here. And I'm working with a way to cover shipping, or not shipping, but delivery fees or something like that, so that I can have menus for local food in the shop, and then I can have customers place an order, and then the Mexican restaurant will deliver Mexican food to the meadery. The pizza place will deliver to the meadery. The ramen and sushi place will deliver to the meadery. Stuff like that. That way I can have just a huge assortment of different foods that I don't actually have to manage a kitchen for, because I really don't want to do that. If I have a kitchen, it's going to be hot dogs that are $12 each, and I'm going to microwave it for you for putting me through the trouble. Because I really don't want to do food.
I love that idea of being able to bring in local food to your meadery. That's awesome.
Yeah, and then it helps support a lot of the local businesses that are there as well. I think everybody wins that way.
Yeah, they really do. There was a place I went to in Davis, California. There's a it's a beer bar, I guess you'd say. They have a bunch of it's not a brewery or meadery, but they have a really nice selection of beers and meads and ciders. And then they had a combined menu that was from several local restaurants. And you could just order, and they had a guy whose job it was to go run, get the food, and bring it back. So So the runner guy would get apparently got delivery fees from the restaurants or something like that. I'm not sure exactly how it worked, but it worked really well for the place. I mean, we went there to eat a couple of times and had some good brews, and it worked out really well.
I think we might have lost Erik.
Did we lose Erik?
I think so.
Uh-oh. Well, shoot. Okay. Well, let me check and see.
I obviously didn't do my chant before the show well enough.
No, you didn't, and you're right. We did lose Erik. Okay. What the heck? He must have dropped off.
So, my next question for Erik.
Yeah.
Do you ever blend yeast?
Yeah, because somebody's got to do it.
Blend yeast.
Somebody's got to do it.
We can tell Manny now that we asked him. We didn't get a very straightforward answer.
There you are. We lost you. I don't know where you went.
Yeah, I don't know. I heard you say there's a place down in, and then nothing.
But then, say what it was is Davis, California, and so my phone was like, no, and dropped that. Apparently.
We don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, right. Apparently not. Never mind. That's where UC Davis is. But hey, anyway, I went to UC Davis for that first Mead class that they had for the Honey and Pollination Center, and so there's this beer place. It's just a beer restaurant that has beer and cider and mead, and a really nice selection. Not ginormously huge, but very well curated. And they had a combined menu that had stuff from 3-4 different local restaurants, and so you could just order off that menu. And they had a guy whose job it was to run, fetch the food, and bring it back. And he had a deal going apparently with the restaurants, and somebody paid the guy. I don't know who was paying the guy or if he was just getting a cut from food orders or whatever. But this guy's only job all day long was just to run food. And, they had you can order food hours defined. So it wasn't like keeping the guy sitting around doing nothing. But it was a really neat arrangement because the place had no food, no kitchen, and nothing like that. But they had a nice assortment of tables, and they had a little patio area outside. And when we were there in the evenings, it was wall to wall. It was packed.
Right.
Yeah. But it was really cool because they just had these arrangements with local restaurants, or, depending on where you're at, I guess food trucks would work too, where, somebody would go fetch your food and bring it back for you, and then you just pay for it.
That's pretty cool. I like that.
Now, I thought it was a really... Sorry, go ahead.
If you're busy, how does that one guy handle all that food?
Well, that was the thing, and I didn't have food when we were there when it was really busy. So I don't know if they were doing food then. I didn't see food coming and going then. We were there 4 o'clock in the afternoon before the rush started because we'd all just arrived from the airport and we were hungry. So we all just gathered. We texted each other around and everybody met up there, and and we had food, but and beer and mead and cider. But because you can
and for a penny and for a pound.
That's right. So it was funny because there was 3 or 4 of us, and somebody had cider, somebody had mead, somebody had beer, and everybody was sharing. So well, that looks good, let me try that. But yeah, I thought it was a really neat idea. I don't know exactly how it would work in practice, but it certainly seemed to be working for them in the context in which they had it set up.
And if you get to know your local menus, you'd probably be able to do some really interesting research on mead pairings for, all the different, what mead goes best with Mexican, what mead goes best with, sushi,
Well, there's this book coming out.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, Chrissy Mannion Zarpor's book, Mead and Food Pairing, is coming out in, I think, January. So that book will help you with that. I've been reading through it because she asked me to write she gave me a copy of the galley for it and asked me to write a endorsement. So, of course, I wanted to read the book first and read the book, and there's really a lot of good information in there. So it'll really help with that sort of thing.
Have you actually tried any of the pairings you suggest yet?
I have no. I only just got the chance to read the galley just in the last week, so no, I have not. But I want to dig through some of the recipes and see if there's stuff in there that my daughter and son-in-law, who are picky eaters, will eat, and then go find the meads. Go find some meads to pair with them and give that a try. But yeah, I'd like to try that. I think we ought to set up a mead and food pairing thing while I'm out here.
Right on. Sounds like fun.
Yeah. So we'll have to get together with all you Washingtonian mead makers and,
There's a plethora of us.
I noticed there's a plethora of you. Did I lose him again?
No, I'm still here.
There you are. Oh, God. Yeah, you're making me paranoid, Eric. Just, breathe heavily or something.
It's what I do.
Drop silent and scare me? Thank you. I really appreciate that.
I thought it was your turn to talk. We take turns, right?
And or something like that. Yeah. Well,
There's
you know
more
what?
of us, so-
Hamish has to jump in with the question because Manny's not here tonight. So.
Well, we're going to start talking yeast. So I wanted to know if it's not confidential information. Do you have a preferred yeast? What is your preferred yeast? And do you use more than one?
Yes, and yes. I use lots of different yeasts. It sort of depends on what I'm making, because a lot of yeasts do different things. One of the first big, actual experiments that I did when I was still homebrewing was to figure out what yeast I wanted to use. So I made a big 6-gallon batch, broke it into 6 1-gallon batches, and then used a different yeast strain in each one of them. And then the next part of that was figure out which one of those I liked best, and then use that yeast strain on 6 different types of honey, and did just a whole bunch of different experiments to kind of figure out what flavor profiles each one of them did. So, for example, I love Cote de Blanc for things that have fruit in it. It just brings out really good aromatics and flavors and stuff. My traditional mead, I use a what is it? It's one of them is actually a bread yeast of all things. Red Star. They have their blue jar, whatever that is. I use that as the initial yeast at a really, really low temperature, 62 degrees. So it's barely fermenting, and then once it hits about 8% alcohol, then the yeast is effectively done. And then I add on top of it just the house strain that I use. And then that's what brings it up to about 14%. But the two yeasts together actually produce a whole, completely different range of flavors and aromatics and all kinds of stuff. That's really cool.
So you've gone and answered my next question was, do you blend yeast? You do my job for me.
Yes, I do.
And he's going to be so mad he wasn't here.
Yeah, I know, right?
So, do you ever have trouble with the second yeast taking hold after the initial? How do you get by that possibility of a stuck ferment there?
I don't usually have a problem. The reason being that I'm very specific with the yeast that I use, and they have fairly rigorous tolerances. So, that bread yeast that I use for that first 8% is kind of the upper limit. And even if a couple of cells are still active, it's not really going to matter.
Okay.
And then beyond that, the second batch, I always make a starter with it and get that going pretty good. And then I toss that in, so there's a really high concentration of the second yeast strain that's adequately, nutriented. And then so it's off and running on its own. And then I put that in, and then fermentation takes off again.
So when you said before that you use a number of different yeasts in the meadery, do you have any issues with cross-contamination? Do you ever, if you use a K1V or an EC118 at all or anything like that, do you ever find that your bread yeast just goes completely dry because it's got some cross-contamination in it or not? And how do you deal with that?
So far, no. I should say, so far, nothing noticeable. Is probably a better way of putting that, because I haven't noticed anything that's all of a sudden that 8% hits 14% and now I have no idea what's going on. That has not happened. There was only 2 instances that I'm aware of where there was any sort of cross-contamination, and one of them was when I first started the shop. I have a big roll-up door, and I was transferring liquid because I had a lot of people that wanted to see what I was doing. since I was just getting started, and I was transferring one of my batches into an aging vessel, and about 3 days later, it re-fermented on me.
Oh.
Had no idea what it was, I was already using the strongest as far as alcohol content or alcohol tolerance